Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to Bold Moves on the Property Sisters Network. I'm Raquel. This is Christy. And today we've got an awesome guest for you guys, our Michigan State broker with EXP Realty. He is here to give us all the goods on just everything real estate, right? So
All
excited to have you here.
moves, yeah.
Yes. We're so excited to have you on and looking forward to all the goodness that you got to bring.
Yes,
Well,
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
You.
coming.
Oh,
Gotta
you're
give
welcome.
him
Thank you
great
for
words.
inviting me. It's an honor to be here. So I appreciate the invite.
Yes, thank you. Got to give you a little round of applause. It's hard for me to see the buttons. I always forget which one it is.
Awesome.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us. So tell us about you. How did you become our state broker? What made you decide to take on overseeing thousands of agents? Like,
Wow.
So much
how did
fun.
this come to be?
Yeah, no pressure here today.
Yeah, no
Zero,
big deal.
just
No
so
big
you
deal.
know.
It's
So-
just us. We're fam.
Yeah. So for those of you who do not know me, and not that I expect anybody to, my name is Nick Coppola, and I have been a real estate professional I'm in my 35th year.
Wow.
Started out as an agent and got into the management coaching, productivity coaching, probably about 10 years ago now, maybe a little 10 or 12. And 4 years ago, I was managing brick and mortar locations when the pandemic hit. And I had managed 3 different offices for a Michigan company. And then the EXP opportunity came around and it just seemed like a really great fit. And it has been. It's been a wonderful fit for me personally. And for the record, I'm not the only state broker. We have a team of 14 that runs the entire state. I'd love to say that I do it by myself, but that would be a really heavy lift and I couldn't do it by myself. So very fortunate to have an incredible team. Yeah, 14 of us.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we have 3 state brokers. We have 4 contract compliance analysts. We have 4 what we call agent service analysts. And we have, I think it's 3 or 4 transaction settlement specialists. So all that stuff that happens behind the scenes to get your files,
all the
complete magic. Yeah. Wizard of Oz, pull the curtain back and there's Nick pushing buttons and pulling levers and doing all this fun stuff. All that happens by people who are way smarter than I'll ever be. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
That's really cool. Honestly,
Yeah.
like, and you don't even think about like how everything gets done. Everything's just like, we have this, here's what's going on with that. And there's just like,
It's almost like being a real estate agent. Like,
yeah, right.
Just wave that magic wand and here's your house.
That's pretty cool. I love that. I love
Definitely-
that.
Yeah, it definitely takes a village. And I think I feel like it's almost in any industry, right? You have the one person that is the forefront and is the face, and we do all these things, but no one really knows the magic that goes on the back end, which is so important to have a successful, company.
Yeah, for sure.
A running company like that. But super awesome.
As I say, we were fortunate enough to like bond when we went to EXP Con a couple years ago.
Yes,
and I
yes,
feel like
we
that
were.
was like another tipping point of like just getting to know a little bit more about like how all that like works, which was another reason I think we were so excited to go, because we didn't really understand like, cloud-based company and you have these teams, and you have this going on, just all these things all the time. And it's like,
It's overwhelming.
yeah, for sure. It's overwhelming, but that was like a huge eye opener. And then to be able to connect face to face, with our brokers, with other local brokers and things like that was so cool. And I'm so glad that we were able to keep that connection. So
yeah.
love that. And we're super excited you're here today with us.
Yes.
Well,
Fremont
thank
Gang.
you.
Going strong.
Yes, Freemont Gang for sure. No doubt about that. Great night, by the way. Love that memory.
Wait, is that off limits? Maybe we talk about that.
We can talk about it a little bit, right?
It was a blast. And honestly, sorry not to cut you
No,
off,
you're good.
No.
but EXP agents who haven't gone, highly recommend. Just go check it out, see what's going on, meet people, do the things. It was definitely an impromptu trip for us and easily one of the best decisions we ever made being here so far. So
would you both call that a bold move? I'm just asking.
definitely.
Oh my God.
Who is this? No, I was kidding.
Nick, we literally, I don't know if we told you this, but we didn't even buy the actual ticket to EXPCon until we were in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like
That's
we were
awesome.
already in Vegas and we were like, what are we even doing? We got to buy
What
the
happened?
tickets. Like we're not even in yet. We're just here.
I
But
love
yeah,
that. I
it was
love that. Just so you
we
know, I
just knew we
love
had to
that.
be
Oh,
there.
good.
We just knew. It was
Yeah.
like we had to go.
We felt it.
We weren't like the FOMO, I think, would have killed us. And we didn't even know you. I mean, we knew of you, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
we talked to you a time or two, but definitely like the relationships is
Mhm.
just so priceless, is worth every penny to go and, gain a little bit of knowledge here, a little bit there, meet some, awesome, smart, cool people such as yourself
Thank
and
you.
connect.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really a really special thing. So we're also excited to be here
Yes.
and talk about your journey.
Sure.
So that leads me to what's your bold new move, Nick?
Jeez.
What's the
So I
boldest move
get
you've
I get
ever
to pick
made?
one, just one.
You can, well,
Go
maybe we'll
top
we'll
two.
dive into a couple, right?
No,
wanna-
it's fine, no
I want
problem.
to get as much out of you as
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah.
respectfully.
Yeah,
So let's-
respectfully. Keyword.
So yes, let's start with one, right?
So it's funny because most people, at least I can say most that I have met, is probably the best way to preface this. Most people do not start off with, "Hey, I want to be a real estate agent." If you go ask little 6 and 7-year-olds, what do you want to be when you grow up? Most of them don't say, "Someday I want to be a realtor." That sounds like so much fun, like they don't do that. So, Nick had aspirations of doing something else. And my father was an entrepreneur. He owned his own business. He retired at 51. He sold it about 4 months after I graduated from high school. And I had worked for him from the time I was like a little kid up until that point. So Nick goes off to community college in the fall. And I had a really good friend of mine whose brother was 10 years older than us. And he owned a restaurant and a bar. And I worked there because I needed a job. Right.
Right.
So I went to school for food service management.
No
Things,
kidding.
right? Yeah. Food service management. I have an associate's degree in food service management. I'm very proud, by the way, of that degree.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Hold on.
Right. Yeah. From
Hold on
Oakland
to
Community College, which is, wonderful. I'm an alum. Right. And so I was managing a restaurant and bar. And my father, he collected antique cars. He was a body man by trade. He owned a collision shop and he restored cars and stuff like that. And he had a friend who was a real estate broker. He owned a Century 21 office at the time and did forever. And he knew me from the time I was a little kid. So I went to a car show on a Sunday in the summertime. I was 20 years old. And, I thought I had arrived. I'm managing a bar and a restaurant. Like I'm a manager. You know what I mean? Like I'm 20.
I'm the manager.
Gonna be
yo.
21 and you
I'm
got
like, I'm not even 21, right? I can't even legally drink. I'm drinking anyway, but I can't even legally drink. And I'm managing this bar, restaurant place. And so he asked me what I was doing with myself. And I said, well, I'm managing a bar and restaurant. And he was like, you should get a real estate license. And I go, well, I don't think you heard me. Like, I have a job. Like, I'm managing a bar and restaurant. And he was like, yeah, but you should get a real estate license. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, I'll tell you what. He's like, I'll pay for the class and the test, This was my dad's really good friend. So,
Yeah.
And so I took him up on it. And there's the bold move, right? Like that one, and it's not so crazy. Like, oh my gosh, you moved a mountain.
Because you
But
said
it
yes to the
is.
opportunity.
Yep.
Because that one interaction on that Sunday in the summer of 1990, right? If that interaction doesn't happen and I wasn't hungover and didn't ultimately, say yes to that, who knows where I would be today, right? And he lived up to his word. He paid for the class. He paid for the test. I took the test and the rest is sort of kind of history and we'll dive into the rest if you want to, but that was the move. That was the catalyst for this year 35 career at this point. That one interaction.
That's so cool.
And
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you. I want to hear more.
No, I didn't realize it at the time because I was young and stupid, to be honest with you. That one particular interaction would change the trajectory of my career, but it did. And I'm always thankful for him that he did that. Unfortunately, he passed away a number of years ago, but if he wouldn't have had that conversation with me, I would have never been in the real estate business.
Wow. So did he take you under his wing and all that after the fact? Or was it what you thought it was going to be? Like, at this age, or what happened to the bar? I just want to know a little bit more.
Yeah. So for the first 3 years of my career, and I remember I was 20 when I started in September of 90. I turned 21 in December. So I was almost 21 and I was single. Like I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have any wife, kids, any of that stuff. So, you could sleep 4 hours a night and totally get away with it. You know what I mean? So for the first 3 years of my career, I did both. I was a full-time real estate agent and I worked at the bar at night and on the weekends and, all kinds of craziness. And it was a ton of fun. And I actually pulled some clients from the bar and stuff like that. And it was a cool way to kind of get going. But again, I was really young and didn't have a lot of responsibilities other than taking care of myself. So my time was my own. And so it was a good way to transition into being a agent. But the catalyst is that I was a full-time agent, but I also worked at the bar. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to work at the bar and I'm going to be a part-time agent. And the good news for me is it was my dad's friend and I didn't want to disappoint him. Right. Because it would have been like disappointing my dad in a way. Right. So, so I showed up every day. Like, that was a different time, right? It was 1990, no internet, it was just a different world. But I showed up every day. And I cold called every single day for a year and a half. Every day, every single day. I remember the script to this day. It was really funny, but I remember the script. I called the city of Garden City twice in 12 months. I went through the entire white pages twice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And people would call. They were so funny. I called them the second time. They'd be like, didn't you call me like 6 months ago? I was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I did.
Just following back up with you.
Did you have like that giant book, like with the numbers and all that and the phone next to you and like,
so here's
whatever you guys did back then.
Yeah. So here's how it actually went down, right? This is exactly how it went down. I got my license and showed up on my first day. It was Monday morning. I had a shirt and tie on and, some black slacks and, a little briefcase, and
love it. Was there anything even in the briefcase?
No, zero. A pen.
That's great.
I show up. He had a stack of white pages in the corner of his office that he had gotten from the telephone company. And he gave me a ruler, a red pen, and a white pages. And he gave me like a legal pad. And he said, write this down. And this was the script. It was, hi, is Mr. and Mrs. insert the name, so-and-so home. This is Nick from ABC Realty. I'm just wondering if you're interested in buying or selling any real estate today. He said, if they say yes, come and get me. That if they say no, thank them and then ask them if they know of anybody that's interested in buying or selling any real estate. If they say yes, put them on hold, come get me. If they say no, thank them, take the ruler, the red pen, draw a line through their name and move to the next name. Start with the A's. The whole training took less than 5 minutes. Right?
It's so good.
And I thought it was like the stupidest thing in the world. I'm like, I'm never going to be successful at this. He didn't train me how to do diddly, you know what, right?
Yeah.
But he did. Here's what he did that now I realize that was amazing. And I didn't know it at the time. He taught me what I needed to know when I needed to know it. He forced me to laser focus on the most important piece, which was prospecting. Right?
Yep.
You don't need to know a purchase agreement if you don't have a client. You don't need to know a listing contract if you don't have a client. Right? And I'll never forget when I got the first person as I'm calling and calling and calling that said yes. And it was a push button phone. It had the light thing on the bottom. And when you would put somebody on hold, that line would flash. Right?
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So it was no auto dialers. You had to dial every number.
Yeah.
So
what letter were you on by this time?
I'll never forget the first time somebody said yes. I put him. I'm like, would you mind holding for a minute? Like I was all like calm, Put him on hold. Beelined into his office and was like, they said yes. They said yes. What do I do now? He gets up. He comes over. And he picks up the phone and he's like, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm the owner broker, of ABC Realty, blah, 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 blah. Nick said that you're interested in buying or selling some real estate, this, that, and the other. And he asked him, and before we got there, they told me, write everything I say down. I was taking notes like it was an 8th grade science project. Like I was just writing as fast as I could, you know.
I can imagine this right now.
And yeah, and he's like, you know, he's just sitting there and he's talking and he set an appointment. That's what he did.
Wow.
It was a listing. He set an appointment. And he said, be here tomorrow morning at 8. He's like, I'm going to teach you how to do a listing contract and we're going to go over a CMA tomorrow.
Wow.
And that was it. Like he taught me the next step because now I was like ready for the next step is what happened. And so, yeah, it was a cool way to learn. Like I didn't know it at the time. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I'm so smart. Like now I've got time and wisdom on my side. Right. But back then I didn't know. I thought it was really dumb. I'm like, all he taught me how to do is make a phone call. This is stupid, you know,
building that muscle. That's the hardest part. And just getting told no 100 times, or God knows at this point what letter you were on. To then just go like, all right, well, you got that. Yes, this is what you're going to do after that, you know, and just keep it moving. And you did all the right things and stayed consistent. And that's not much has changed for today, you know.
But I think that's such a key point to make though, because like when you become a real estate agent now at any time, whether it was back then or today, there's so much to learn. You think you need to learn everything right at once. But just like you said, he taught you the most important thing first. And then when it was time for the next step, you took the next step and then you learned that next thing. And I think that's almost a point where agents get lost is in when you just get in the business, it's like, how am I going to learn all this stuff? That's like, it's such a, it's like a scare, you know, and it's almost so intimidating that you freeze. But if you don't take those next steps, you don't learn anything, and you learn them by just doing them. So I mean, I think that's a problem that new agents have.
For sure. I remember feeling that when I got started, and I was just like, how am I going to help someone when I don't know, like, I only know how to do X, Y, and Z. What happens after that? And I'm supposed to tell them like, yeah, I'm going to help you through the entire transaction and be confident about that statement. I'm like, I have someone's life in my hands. Like, what am I, you know, it was like a scary thought, but it was like, you have the right people in place. Everybody's been in your shoes. Everybody needs to learn, and you're still going to guide them. And you have that same guidance, just like you did. And it was just that full circle, you know, like you have that backing, and you'll get them there, you know, but like, otherwise you're going to be overwhelmed and probably get lost in the shuffle. Cause you're like, oh, I was supposed to do this, not this. And, you know, end up in
too much.
Yeah, exactly. Overwhelm the client. And then the whole thing's going to be you know what?
No, you're both 100% right. Like I said, I didn't know it at the time. You know, when you're going through it, human beings aren't really great at recognizing things in the moment. We're really good at analysis afterwards. You know, the Monday morning quarterback thing, after the game has already been played, we're great at analyzing it then. But we're not very good at the moment piece of it. All of us, me included, right? Like,
till now I suck.
You know, and it's so I didn't know it at the time, but he really did me a great favor. He taught me what I needed to know when I needed to know it. And guess what? It stuck too, because it meant something.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't learning it in theory. It was learning it for real. We had an actual listing appointment, like a real live listing appointment. And he taught me how to do the CMA because it mattered.
Right.
You know, and he taught me the listing contract because it mattered. And when we got there, he was like, now I'm going to handle the listing appointment. You sit and listen, take notes. And he, you know, and I did exactly that. Right. And so the next time we had a listing appointment, I did the appointment and he sat and listened.
Okay.
And so it was good. Again, I didn't know it at the time, but it was good. It was a great way to learn. I'm always thankful. Now I'm thankful, right? At the time I was young, didn't know any better. You know,
I love that he let you take the reins and then still gave you feedback, I'm sure, after the fact, or stepped in if you needed. And I think that's a huge tip. Like this whole thing here for agents just getting started, you know, to take things one thing at a time, have a mentor you can lean on, you know, and just take things step by step, and then get that feedback and let them, you know, shadow them, have them shadow you, take notes. Like all of these things are so like key factors. And I remember doing it myself too.
Yeah.
When I started, and, you know, just to give yourself that grace to learn and not get ahead of yourself, I think is another, you know, big part of it too. and
Yeah.
just, be patient with the whole process. I think that's, these are all such good nuggets, I think, for someone who's just getting started in the business too.
For sure.
Oh, thank
For
you.
sure. When you like so this was you just becoming an agent, right? So
Yeah.
how long like were you an active realtor, right? Before you started, so then you start gaining your traction after that listing appointment. I'm sure
Yeah.
there was more listing appointments, right? And
Yeah.
then you maybe transition into the buyer side of things. So you're going through this process. At what point, I mean, did you get a couple years under your belt before you started like toying with the idea of being a broker, or when did you leave the bar? I mean, give me a little bit of give me a little bit of the middle,
Yeah. So I left the bar about 3 years later, 3.5 years later, 24-ish, 25-ish, somewhere in there, that range. I don't
Okay.
remember exactly, but the bar was still fun. Like, I'm not going to lie. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
That was like a great social outlet too,
Yeah.
right? It was really cool. And again, I was young. I could sleep 4 hours a night and actually still function, which was pretty darn good, right?
Yeah.
But so ultimately I ended up buying a house, like a small little fixer upper type house. And, I was trying to do that and just, of course, like young person, right? Adding more stuff to my plate. I can do everything. I can do everything. Right. And so, there was some changes that were happening. One, I ended up, leaving that brokerage, even though it was my dad's friend. I did great my first year as rookie of the year in the office. It did really wonderful, but I couldn't make any money there. First of all, the splits are different than they are today. There were no caps back then. You would bump up your commission rate. You started at 50-50, you'd go to, 55-45, 60-40, and then 65-35 was normally the top tier. And it was based on volume that you did. And so ultimately there were no caps. It was a different world, right? I'm not saying it's good or bad. It was just a different world back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so if you think about it, I started in an area where houses back in those days were, 50 grand a piece. I sold 13 houses my first year and I didn't make any money. I made more money working at the bar.
Wow.
So there was a point where I almost got out of the business. Like, I was like, this is stupid. I'm killing myself and I'm pretty good at it, I thought, right? But I wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I make money doing this? So I had to leave there and I went to another brokerage. And it was just, I was doing all the right stuff. I was just doing it in the wrong spot, if that makes sense. Right. And so I had to leave there in order to learn something else new. And that was a very difficult transition because it was hard to leave. He was really great to me and he knew my dad and, but there was I wasn't going to branch out there. I needed to grow more. Right. And in order to grow more, I had to grow somewhere else. And so I left, went to a larger brokerage with more resources and more training and learned a lot. I was doing that from 90 to right about 2000-ish. And at that point, I had been doing this for a while and I had decided I was going to get a broker's license. I did, went back, got a broker's license, had some buddies, and we were going to open up our own brokerage. Went out and did that. Long story short, it was a horrible 3 or 4 years of my life where I didn't make any money.
Oh, wow.
Running a brokerage. I was ill-equipped to run a brokerage, if I'm honest about it. I was really good at sales part, but didn't know jack crap about managing a brokerage. My partners didn't know jack crap. We were all just salespeople. Nobody to guide us, no guidance, nothing, right?
A leap of faith.
Yeah, leap of faith. Failed at it miserably. Everybody kind of fractured and went their separate ways with that. And in 2003, I joined Keller Williams and spent 15 years at Keller.
Oh,
And
wow.
so Keller was a great system at the time. Learned a ton in that system. I was there when the, Real Estate Millionaire book first came out, and it changed the way agents viewed the business, changed the way I viewed the business. Got my feet wet with mentoring. That system put me in a productivity coaching style role for a while. being part of the ALC, learning more about running a brokerage. The guy that owned that particular one, he was a really great guy. He was willing to share information, built an incredible bond with him. And it just expanded things for me, right? Again, it was another growth opportunity,
Right.
if you will, right?
Mhm.
And as luck would have it, a really good friend of mine who had also been in the business for a really long time, worked at another company and said, "Hey, we're looking for a managing broker for an office. You should apply." And I was like, "I don't want to do that. I'm fine. I'm good at sales. I'm just going to stay put at sales. I've been doing this now for 25 years. What do I need that crap for? I don't want to manage agents. It's like herding cats. I see all the crummy agents we have in our office. Right?
I don't need it. No more.
I don't need that headache.
Been
All
there,
the
done that.
things, all the things you say,
Yeah.
right? All the
Yep.
things, right?
That's
And I said all those things. Like, one thing about me, you guys know this, like, I'm brutally honest. I said all those things. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And so he talked me into it and said, you really need to do this. Like, you would be really good at this. And I was like, well, thank you for the vote of confidence. I just don't know if I want to do it. Like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you want to do something.
for sure. Yeah.
And so I did.
You did.
And it was another growth opportunity, right? It was another place to expand, knowledge base, time on task, learning a new function, playing managing broker, helping other agents. And it was kind of indirectly like a way to give back. Like, the industry by that point, like, I'd been doing it 25 years, it had been really good to me. Like, it had served me well for a long time. Like, it was this weird, funky way to give back kind of thing. And so that was another growth opportunity. And then the EXP thing was just another growth opportunity that came.
So that
around.
wasn't EXP. That was a
No.
different
Different brokerage. It was brick and mortar. I ran brick and
okay.
mortar locations. Yeah.
After Keller, and then you went into management.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's
That's
interesting.
correct.
How
Yep.
did you? I mean, even though you said you weren't like, initially so excited about the opportunity, if you would. I mean,
Yeah.
what was like that tipping point for you when you decided, okay, I am going to take this different opportunity, because you knew you were good at sales and you knew you wanted to grow. But like, I think that's something Christy and I go through all the time. I mean, even starting this podcast, when we were like, what's a different play that we could do that would enhance our growth? And like, what would you say was like your deciding factor and getting that confidence to take that step, knowing that it was like the right move for you?
Yeah. So I am really, really fortunate. I have a wonderful partner, wife, significant other, all those things, right? Do you want to call that, right? Like, we've been married now 25 plus years. We've been together for 29 years. Like, I am a very fortunate guy. She is a wonderful human being, and she is truly, a life partner. And so these conversations were had with her, and, she was very good at listening, not telling me you should do this, but she was just saying, hey, like, what do you have to lose here? Like, there's no downside here, right? If you do this for a year and decide that it just isn't for you, you just go back to the same place that you were already in. You just go back and be an agent, there's nothing wrong with that, but you've been doing that now for 25 years. Maybe it's time to try something else in the industry and see if that's a good fit for you. You're losing absolutely zero by trying it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've already proven that you can be a successful agent. That's a given. You've been doing it. You've already done that. But what you haven't done is you haven't done this particular role. So maybe there's an expansion opportunity for you, and not a money expansion even, right?
Mm-hmm.
Truth be told, I could make more money just going back and focusing on being a top agent versus playing a managing broker. Like, there is more money to be made being an individual agent, hands down. So it wasn't even about money. It was about self-fulfillment, continued growth, turning it into something else. And she was very instrumental in helping me make that decision.
Wow.
So it was great because she allowed me to give me the freedom to say, hey, you know what? If you want to try this, great. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost
Pivot.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God,
know?
that's so nice. Like just the importance of having that support system in your life
Yes.
to
Yeah.
give you that encouragement, even just to tell you like show you what you're not seeing, basically. Like this
Correct.
is what you've done. And it's okay if it doesn't work out. Like I'm here for you. Nothing's gonna happen, no harm, no foul. Like everything is gonna be right where you left it, but you owe it to yourself to give it a try, and then that's okay. I think that's so beautiful. Shout out to the wife.
Yeah. She's a good person. I'm a lucky guy for sure, right? Those that have
Yeah.
met her tell me that regularly,
Yes.
just so you know.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
So sweet and
I think
supportive.
that you hit it spot on. The support system that you have behind you when you're in this business is so important. And
Yeah.
I think we've experienced that too.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
we talk about EXP all the time. I mean, not even not to, boast on them or anything like that, but like the people here are just so supportive and it's priceless. Like
Yeah.
the relationships that we've made are just
It's
they're
invaluable.
incredible.
I feel
Yeah,
like
like
it's been, sorry not to cut
no,
you
you're
off,
fine.
but just the fact of like not even just making us great agents, like just better people, better, like every skill set from like top to bottom is touched on in some way in form of coaching that we get or have someone that we've met through the company across the board, like has changed our lives completely. And so I am going to boast because this is a full on EXP episode. So
Yeah,
sorry,
period.
guys.
Hey, let's do this. I'm
Whoever,
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
whoever it is that's listening, think about it, check it out, because truly it was like a life
It's a game
changing
changer. Yeah.
decision. And honestly, even when I started, because like we were kind of figuring out like our dynamic, it wasn't always like this in the beginning, but it was like she had made a couple moves to a couple different brokerages before she came here. And then it was more like, am I going to start with her or should I go somewhere else and whatever? And then I remember our dad was like, why would she go and do the runaround that you just did and you ended up here and you're happy here just to say she did other stuff? He's like, no, forget that. Like you
Yeah.
guys, do this together type of thing. So it was kind of like we were brought into it like more so that way. And then as I was like, continuing on, it was just because I would see her before I started even got my license or anything, like she was just becoming a different person slowly, just like little things, little personality traits, sharpening her schedule, saying all this. I'm like, that's like really cool. Like
It's
everything that
the
you're doing and
craziest thing.
saying. And so, yeah, I'm totally fine boasting about it because I really
Yeah,
do think there are
that's
just
true.
some really amazing people here that I think we really owe a lot to,
A lot of
like
credit. Yeah.
everything. I swear it's been amazing. So I just can't wait to see where things go. And I totally love that you ended up here and we're having this conversation after all this, the bar and the different brick and mortars and all this fun stuff. And because that was seems like pretty recently, right? Within the last few years, you said?
So I got here in November of 21, end of November in
Wow,
2021.
I've been here
Yeah.
longer than you.
That's
Yes, you
crazy.
have. Yeah. I
Oh my God, I love that.
so I celebrated 3 years last November. So, do the math. I'm
I love
approaching
that.
3.5 years. And my only regret, people ask me all the time, do you have any regrets? Only regret is that I did not get here sooner. That is it. There's no other regrets. Like, I wish I would have got here 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it is, whether it have been as an agent or a managing broker. Like, and I'm not a really regretful person. Like, I lived my life, good, bad, or ugly. I own my decisions.
Yeah.
I think regret in most cases is kind of waste time, like to kick,
I
kick
agree.
that can, like I should have done this, I should have done that. No, I did that. It turned out this way. It got me to where I am today. And now I can make these decisions based on where I am today. So I don't know if I want to call it like a full blown regret. I just wish I would have seen the opportunity sooner. That's all.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm here now. And I'm
Uh-huh.
just trying to embrace being here today. Right. Which is really a great thing. And I have no regrets in terms of where it's taken me on the EXP journey, right? Being a managing broker, I still sell, not as much as I used to, but it still allows me to keep my fingers in the industry. So when I'm giving advice or guidance to an agent or counsel to an agent, I'm currently doing it. I am presenting a listing contract to somebody. I had to change my practices with the NAR settlement, just like you guys did, right? I wasn't exempt from that. And, you know, agents will always say to me, sometimes they'll be like, oh, you know, these changes, and, you know, I like the old way. And I go, guess what? Nobody loves the old way as much as me. I did it for 30 plus years. But the new way can be pretty cool too. You know what I mean?
Can still be done. And I love that you're still boots on the ground and just not just talking hot air to everyone. You're like actually doing the things and leading by example. And I think that's amazing. Like that's the right way to do that. You know, like I
Well,
hate
it's more
hearing
credible
things.
too, because
That's
I'm
the
like,
thing.
well, you don't know, you're not doing what I'm doing, but you do know because you are doing what I'm doing, and you're also doing a lot of other stuff.
Right.
Thank
But
you.
God bless your patience.
Yeah, but I mean, you just put through so much at us, but like, you know, there are so many changes, and there are so many things that agents experience over the course of a short period of time, like the NAR settlement, for, you know, example. But like, based on everything that you've learned, I mean, I guess over the course of 30 years, I mean, what would be like a solid piece of advice that you would give, or that you've been given to whether it's a new or seasoned agents?
So I didn't make this term up, but it was taught to me. And I always have thought that it is like the best piece of real estate advice. Okay. Like absolute best.
Hold on, let me get my note.
Yeah. You can strip away everything else. Somebody else taught it to me, right? And it's not politically correct, just so you know. The term is FAT, F-A-T, right? And it means you've got to be flexible, you've got to be adaptable, and you've got to be teachable. And that is the best piece of real estate advice, because what I do know from being in it as long as I've been in it is that it will continue to change. Wow. It has continued to change. It is not the same as when I first started. And if I go through a timeline of history with all of you, you'd be like, you used to do what? You know what I mean? You know, like, yeah, there were no lock boxes. We used to go to offices and sign keys out and then have to return them to the listing office.
Oh my God,
wow.
no way.
We used to have to, you know, press hard because there was 4 copies on all of our contracts. There was white, yellow, pink, blue, you know what I mean? Like,
my gosh.
You know, there was a DOS prompt MLS. It wasn't like it is today. There was no email. There was no internet. I mean, when we got a plain paper fax machine, you would have thought Santa Claus came to town, right? And I'm pointing this out to people not because I'm like, oh, feel sorry for me. I know that sounds like I'm a dinosaur. I get it.
No, not at all.
But what I'm trying to point out to people is that the industry has evolved.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to evolve. So I say this to my own kids, right? The future is going to happen. You have one of 2 choices. You can either participate or you can sit on the sidelines and watch it take place. I choose to participate.
I swear.
Right? Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let the future happen and I'm not a part of it.
Yeah.
So if there's a new technology to learn, I'm on it. If NAR changes their policies, I'm changing with it. If the MLS becomes different and they decide to use a different platform or software, I'm not going to spend my time pissing and moaning about the old system that I liked better. I'm going to learn the new one. Right. When the new iPhone comes out and it has a new OS on it, I'm learning the new features. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to be flexible, and I'm going to remain teachable at all times. Yeah. And if you can do that, you're going to stay with it. Yeah. If not, the industry will outpace you. And when you allow it to outpace you, you become irrelevant at that point. Wow. And that's the single best piece of advice I can give. Long-winded, but that's the best piece of advice I can give you.
Much needed. Definitely a mic drop moment. I wish we had a sound effect for that. There we go.
There you
Air
go.
horn. No, but seriously, I think the adaptability has been a huge factor. I mean, even me, I was like, what, our listing contracts changed? I just learned it. Our like not like everything. I was like getting all flustered again. And I'm like, you know what? It's chill. It's all good. The
Mhm.
training's provided, the people are around, and just take take advantage of those resources that you have wherever you are, I guess.
Yeah.
Just figure out these different avenues and, don't be scared. I think a lot of people get nervous and don't like change, and I'm one of them until
Yeah.
I got into this industry and I'm just forced every single day to do something that I'm uncomfortable with.
I love
But
it.
it's like, it's just one of those things that you're like, this is what I'm going to do. And this is, I need to embrace this and just let it ride.
Mhm.
It's okay. It's okay to be scared, and it's okay to push through it and learn and do the things and, build on these changes because they happen. They're inevitable in any industry, honestly. But, since this is what we're doing, that's what we're talking about. But but it's
You know,
important, and I think to have you but to
No,
have
go.
you guys leading by example and
Just gonna
still
say
doing
that.
all these things and being at the forefront and,
Yeah.
even how our CEO, how Leo was just ahead of everything and all these different changes and keeping everybody as informed as possible in a timely manner at that
Even if
was
it was gonna change, he was like, "Here's this for now. It might change, but
yeah.
here, at least you have this tool for now." And then in a
That's
couple weeks,
awesome.
I remember being on trainings with you, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Don't quote me on this right now because guess what? Tomorrow it could change, but here's what it is for today, so you can go
Yep.
out and do your job and do it confidently
Yes.
and
Yeah.
educate your clients and do it, from a standpoint where you're getting correct information that you can, give
Yeah.
it's huge."
And to let them know like it's fluid and this is just what we're doing
Mhm.
and how it's going right now and this is, what it is. So this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
you
You
know.
girls are spot on, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. If nothing else, the industry teaches you that change is not necessarily a bad thing,
Mhm.
right? And I give you a ton of credit. If change makes you uncomfortable, then you've got to get comfortable with change. So if that's something that the industry has helped you overcome, kudos to you, because what's happening is you're taking something that doesn't make you feel really comfortable or really good about yourself, and you're turning it into, this can make me feel good about myself. And that's important, right? When you think
For
about that.
sure.
Pain with a purpose, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
you got it.
For real. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What is a
Where'd
damn
that
good
come
one?
from?
I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
I'm gonna
I
write
know.
that
Love it.
down,
Take
man.
I
a
love
note of that
it.
too. That's amazing.
Pain with a purpose.
Just jot that down.
I
FAT.
did already.
Okay,
Flexible,
perfect.
adaptable,
Love
and
that.
teachable. We're all
I didn't
fat.
make it up, by the way. I can't take credit. Somebody told it to me.
Sure. Well,
Shout out to that person.
yeah.
And shout out to you for sharing it with us and all these other amazing golden nuggets.
Yeah.
I feel like this has been so much fun. And honestly,
I know we're already coming up to the end of the show
I
here,
know.
and I just feel so fortunate to have crossed paths with you.
I swear,
I
honestly.
mean, you're just the load of knowledge and wisdom, and a lot of this stuff sounds like it could be so obvious, right?
Sure.
Like we think like, you know, but I feel like every training and every event or everything that we go to, it's like everything starts to resonate a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's just a
I
little bit different every time.
No, I go to I feel like I see so many of the same people and go to so many of the same trainings and, we both do. And it's like, and I've said this before, that you can just be in a different state of mind the first time you hear it, that
Mhm.
you're not going to understand and something else is going to click for you the next time and the next time and just keep doing all the things that are provided because it's going to help you wherever you are in that place in your business and in life that those things are going to resonate differently and, take advantage of all the opportunities and resources and coaching and different trainings that are available wherever you are. But if you're not with EXP, you should check it out, just see what's going on. I'm just going to throw that out there. No big deal. Um, but
All
but
day.
it's true. And I really feel a debt of gratitude to so many of our people here that really made that impact in my life. So, and you're one of them. And
Well,
just,
thank you.
oh yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Very kind
Honestly.
words coming from both of you. I appreciate that. It's very, very nice to hear.
Oh,
And
we're not making this shit up.
Yeah.
Nick.
It's really true though. And like, we want to stand behind a company and people that we believe in too. And that's really
Sure.
important to us. And I feel like
Yeah.
everybody is kind of on that same boat, and
Mhm.
really have that same genuine like love and understanding and respect for each other. And yeah, so it's been really nice to see and meet some of the people, and like going to EXPCon and stuff like that, where you don't get that connection as much.
Sure.
To really see it, in person, face to face, like was a big, honestly, like the game changer
It
for
was a
me.
bold move.
It definitely was a bold move. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
I
spot
think it
on.
was.
Yeah, you were
I was
spot on
there,
for
and I
sure.
think it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Fremont Gang.
I love that. What's like
That's
one of your
funny.
favorite parts? I'm sure you've probably been to one or two more maybe than we have, but like, is there like a favorite part that you have about EXPCon or any of our events or different things like that like sticks out to you? Regional
It's funny
rallies?
that you say that because every single one of those type of conventions has its own special moment, but they all have a common theme when I think back on what the special moment is. And the special moment is that impromptu Fremont Gang moment, right? And
Wow.
the reason why I
I
say
know.
that is that the rest of it is structured, right? Like
Yeah.
you get there, there's an agenda, you're going to go to this class at 8 a.m., this one at 9:30, this one at 12:30. You're going to eat lunch with a group of people. But it's those impromptus that create those bonds, those real relationships, those networking relationships, those relationships that last over time. And that and I'm not saying that the trainings aren't valuable. Please don't misunderstand the statement. You learn different nuggets from each one of those breakout sessions that you go to, but the real power is that human interaction, right?
Yes.
You now have an additional resource in your pocket because you met Jimmy Nelson or Jeff Gardner or Nick Coppola, and I met you. And so I now have another resource in my pocket. I now have another ally in the industry. I now have an expanded network because of it. And when you look at it from that lens, that's where the real power is in those events. Not that the breakout sessions aren't great. They're amazing, amazing speakers, amazing topics, amazing information. And if you just take away one or two things from an event like that, you've gotten everything you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
But when you also layer on the human interaction and those really wonderful relationships that are forged because of that event, now you're doubling down on the event. And that, in my opinion, is where the real power of those things are.
I love that. That's everything.
So true.
It's true. Because I remember we were like, was that like the funnest night ever?
Ever.
Or
It
what?
was. It was amazing, right? Yeah.
I swear, I don't think we've
the
ever had such a good time. And it was
most random.
random. Like that. I don't even remember how it started or how it happened.
Mhm.
But I feel like we still talk about that. We still want to get the gang together.
We're doing
And
it.
we're
Right
doing
here, right
it.
now. We're making
For
a commitment.
sure.
We're doing
Yes.
it. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Fremont Gang, the rest of you, hope you're listening. It's happening this year for sure.
Okay.
So excited.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I think
This has been a lot of fun.
this has been amazing. I'm so happy we did this,
Yeah.
and we cannot thank you enough for joining
Yes.
us.
Thank you so much
No.
for
Really.
coming on the show. I'm sure
I
that.
appreciate it. Thank you both for having me. Thanks for
Oh,
the
yeah.
invite.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Look, there's a ton to cover, right?
I know
Anytime
it.
you're on one of these, I've been invited onto other ones and stuff like that. And we always have the best of intentions to cover a really lot of information. And you think that an hour is a really long time. It's not.
It's not.
It goes by so fast.
It's
So
really
here's the commitment I'll make to all of you and anybody that's watching and listening. Here to
Great.
help. You can find me in EXP World. You can reach out to me on Workplace or the channels. I'll also give you some, Facebook, YouTube, different places to grab me, Instagram. But I'm not opposed to helping any agent. I will defer you back to your state broker if it's not in the state of Michigan, just because I don't know the laws in the other states. I don't claim to. One thing about me, and I think the girls know this about me, like I will tell you what I do know, not what I don't know. And I will tell you flat out if I don't know it. But I'm always here to help. That's part of what this piece of my career has been like, this wonderful golden opportunity to give back. It's been incredible. It's been a great journey for me. And we'll do it again. If you want me on again and you want to talk about something completely different, the invitation is open on my side.
I
All
love
day
that.
long.
Same here.
Yeah.
We love that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Well, that's Nick Coppola, everybody. Thank you so
Yes.
much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here again, Nick. It's been awesome. I don't think, I mean, just awesome. I have no words.
I
Thank you so
know.
much. Everything. I love being in your circle, and
Yeah.
you know, that just goes across the board of just who EXP really is just full of just remarkable people like you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you
but
both.
yes, of course.
You.
So if you're looking for him, this is Nick Coppola. And if you guys want to get in touch, you can do that. You can also reach out to Christy and I at propertysistersnetwork@gmail.com. You can find us also on Property Sisters Network on Instagram. I think that's about it for now as far as getting a hold of us on YouTube. Obviously, we're Bold Moves on the Property Sisters Network. And thanks again for being here, Nick.
Yeah,
And hope you
thank
guys
you.
all got a little something out of this. And yeah, if you need anything, you know where to find us.
Yeah, we're here for you.
Here for you
Thanks
all.
Thanks,
for
everybody.
listening. Thanks for
All right.
watching.
Thank you guys. Have a
See
great
ya.
day. See you next time.